So, good person, you know you're a mighty soul having this human adventure, and as part of the adventure through rocky lands and great mountains, we can accumulate a lot of traumatic residue. And so, on our healing journey, and that's what I'm here for, I'm a psychotherapist, psychologist, clinical hypnotherapist, and my whole career, my life work really has been about helping people and myself through significant difficulties, usually childhood stuff, plenty of adult trauma too, but mainly childhood stuff which gets so hidden, so buried, can be quite invisible, as I spoke about in another video. And so today I wanted to talk about the nature of some of those obstacles, some of those issues, some of that baggage that we can be left with as these amazing souls having this human experience, and the nature of it. So trauma can be divided into covert and overt, into what they call omission trauma and commission trauma. So commission trauma is what's committed. This is overt trauma. Overt means more open or more obvious or more out there. So committed trauma, overt trauma, this is about being attacked. This is about being projected onto. This is about what's done to us. This is about getting what we don't want that we don't need. Think of it as like a violation of our boundary, like an intrusion onto our person, onto ourself, of energies, of words, of emotion, of behaviour that is fear-based, that is not love, that is not helpful, is not healing, is not wanted. Yep, sure, on a soul level, everything works for the good and there's growth in all experience. But right now we're drilling down into the guts of what trauma is. And so overt commission trauma is more obvious, because who likes being hit? Who likes being criticised? Who likes being attacked? Who likes being sexually abused? It's obvious even for a very young child that they don't want this, they don't like this. There's a natural pushing back, if you like. And a big part of our healing work can be clearing the energy that gets jammed up, because as a child often, usually we're in a situation where we can't fight, we can't run away, we can't push back. So all these incomplete movements get internalized. But yeah, as one of my therapists said many years ago, look, if someone's hitting us or attacking us, abusing us, let's say we end up with a broken arm, well, at least we can see it, we can feel it, we can touch it. It's more above the surface of our conscious awareness. It doesn't make it easy or okay in any way. It just means we've got more conscious access to that experience. And we know we don't like it. The pain of it, we know we don't like it. So overt trauma, all those examples we could come up, and perhaps, I'm so sorry to hear, you may have been through in your own personal experience. But in a way, even as a young child, we retain an awareness of like, that was bad, that was wrong. Yep, it's complex, gets internalized. The stronger child will blame themselves and all the complexity there, which we have to work through. But at least there's a knowing of, oh, I didn't like when that happened, that was wrong, that was bad. The other form of trauma is covert trauma or omission trauma. So covert means hidden or secret. Omission means something that was omitted, something that we didn't get that we needed. This is about not getting what we do need, not receiving what we do need. So this is in the realm of things like emotional neglect. So as a child, every child who's ever been born needs a certain amount of attention or we die. I mean, if we're not fed, we die. If we're not given enough clothing and shelter from the elements, we'll die. And for our development, for our growth, for our maturity, we also need love. We need attention, we need support, we need guidance, we need nurturance, we need comfort, we need security. So these things, while physically we might survive, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, we don't thrive when there's this omission of these other things that are essential for human development, really an essential part of life. It's like oxygen for the heart, it's like water for the mind. And so what can be omitted can be like attention. So think of parents who are maybe working too much, distracted, unavailable. Unfortunately, we're in a culture now where it takes two incomes to raise a family, so often children have to go to childcare very young, and so there can be a lack of that presence or that connection. Sometimes, let's say parents are very wounded, and so they can be acting out their trauma in covert ways. Think of the cold shoulder, the silent treatment. I mean, I hear stories from clients where a parent gets upset, gets triggered. Obviously, we know they're getting triggered into their stuff, and it's their unresolved trauma, but they act it out, and so they might not speak to the child for days. I think I've heard 3 weeks, which is torture for the child. We need connection, we need engagement, and so to be punished like that, to be tortured like that, that's a very cruel, covert trauma. But the problem with these more hidden forms of not getting what we need, not getting that support, that love and nurturing, is that a child developmentally can't really make sense of that. We know something's missing, we know we're not happy, we know something's wrong, but it's not as obvious as the broken arm, it's not as obvious as the bruise, it's not obvious at all. And when we're very little, developmentally, we haven't developed the rational mind yet, the prefrontal cortex hasn't cut in, so we can't say that, oh, mother shouldn't ignore me for 3 days, father shouldn't give me the cold treatment for a week. We don't have a conscious way to process that. It becomes more likely to be internalized. Unless we've got an excellent enlightened witness who's naming it for us, telling the child that, oh, gee, that must be hard when, father doesn't talk to you or whatever it is. It gets buried deeply inside because the child cannot understand it, make sense of it. We know it as a pain, but it's more murky, it's much more likely to become this sort of invisible wound inside. And a lot of work I do is with children of narcissistic parents, a mother or a father. Particularly mothers are most difficult because that's the first bond. It's one of the most complex traumas to work through, having a narcissistic parent, particularly mother, because a narcissist is a weak person, a shallow person, a very limited, scared, contracted, immature person. And so they literally don't have what the child needs. Past a very young age, maybe 18 months of age, they don't have the emotional maturity or connection to meet those needs. So even though the words can be there, even though it's wrapped up in a whole lot of other impressive looking noise, the reality is there's no substance to it. Empty vessels make the most noise. A weak, immature parent can make a lot of noise, but there isn't the substance to it. And so the covert trauma of being child to a narcissistic parent is you're not getting seen, you're not getting the bandwidth of empathic witnessing that we need. This is a parent who just can't give that, doesn't have it to give. And it doesn't matter what the words are, we know, we feel it, we just know that, oh, I'm not getting that understanding, there isn't that emotional connection that I need. Oh, what's wrong? Oh, I'll have to try harder. And then we're going into our pleasing behaviour if it's a stronger personality. I hope that language makes sense to you. I know I get into a bit of the jargon there, but the key points I wanted you to take away from today is overt, obvious trauma is really getting what we don't need. Covert trauma is not getting what we do need. And that can be more difficult to work. We tend to start healing through the more obvious overt trauma, then we get to the covert trauma. I cover all this in my upcoming book, From Trauma Survivor to Soul Warrior. It's in proofreading now, we're getting close. Hopefully September, October 2025 will be when it gets published. So yeah, I look forward to sharing that with you, going into all these things in more detail. So best wishes, get stuck into your healing journey. Hope this was helpful, and see you next time.